My abandoned me for years, then showed up wanting to meet my daughter. After funding my brother's failed business and leaving me in debt, they thought I would forget everything the moment they asked for forgiveness. What I told them after that changed everything, and it wasn't what they expected. I never thought I'd be writing this, but here I am seeking advice from strangers on the internet about my family situation. My name is Johnny, and I'm 32 years old. I've been estranged from my parents for almost 8 years now, and suddenly they're trying to be a part of my life again. I'm not sure how to handle this, and I could really use some outside perspective. To understand my situation, you need to know about my childhood. I grew up in a small town in Ohio, the older of 2 boys. My younger brother, Bobby, 30, was born when I was just 2 years old. From the beginning, it was clear that Bobby was the golden child. He was outgoing, athletic, and charming, everything I wasn't. I was more introverted and focused on academics. Our parents, especially our dad, always seemed more interested in Bobby's activities than in mine. Dad was a former high school football star who never quite got over his glory days. When Bobby showed an interest in sports, Dad was over the moon. He'd spend hours in the backyard teaching Bobby how to throw a perfect spiral while I sat on the porch with my books. Mom wasn't as blatant about her favoritism, but it was still there. She'd gush over Bobby's finger paintings and put them on the fridge, while my report cards with straight A's were met with a simple "good job, Johnny." I remember one particularly painful incident when I was 10. I had won the school science fair with a project on renewable energy. I was so excited to show my parents, but when I got home, they were too busy celebrating Bobby making the junior football team to even look at my blue ribbon. As we got older, the favoritism became even more apparent. In high school, I threw myself into my studies, joining the debate team and the math club. I was determined to get into a good college and become a doctor. Bobby, on the other hand, coasted by on his charm and athletic ability. He was the star quarterback, dating cheerleaders and going to parties every weekend. I still remember the night of my high school graduation. I was valedictorian and had worked for weeks on my speech. As I stood at the podium, I scanned the audience for my family. Dad was there, but he was busy filming Bobby, who was goofing off with his friends in the back row. Mom at least seemed to be paying attention, but I could see her constantly glancing over at Bobby. It felt like, even in my moment of triumph, I was still in my brother's shadow. When it came time for college, I got accepted into a prestigious university with a partial scholarship. I was thrilled, but my excitement was short-lived. My parents sat me down and told me they couldn't afford to help me with tuition. They said they had been saving for years, but unexpected expenses had come up, and they just didn't have the money. I was devastated but determined. I took out student loans, worked part-time jobs, and managed to make it through undergrad. It was tough, but I was proud of myself for doing it on my own. I worked as a tutor, a library assistant, and even spent a summer doing night shifts at a 24-hour diner. There were times when I was so exhausted I could barely keep my eyes open during lectures, but I pushed through. Meanwhile, Bobby had decided college wasn't for him. He worked at a local garage, spending his evenings at bars and parties. Our parents never seemed concerned about his lack of direction. They'd just chuckle and say, "That's our Bobby, always living in the moment." Then, during my senior year, I found out the truth. Bobby, who had been working at the garage for a couple of years, suddenly announced he was opening his own auto repair shop. To my shock, our parents had given him their entire savings. The money they had told me didn't exist to start his business. I couldn't believe it. All those nights I had spent worrying about my mounting student debt, all the times I had to choose between buying textbooks or eating proper meals, and they had money all along. They just chose to give it to Bobby instead. When I confronted them about it, they tried to justify their decision. They said Bobby needed the money more because he didn't have a college degree and that I would be fine because I was smart and would make good money as a doctor someday. They didn't seem to understand or care about the massive debt I had taken on or the stress I had been under. That was the last straw for me. I finished my degree and got into medical school, but I cut off almost all contact with my family. I only spoke to them on major holidays, and even then it was brief and superficial. I threw myself into my studies, determined to succeed despite their lack of support. During my second year of medical school, I met Donna. She was a law student, brilliant and compassionate. For the first time, I felt truly seen and appreciated for who I was. We started dating, and she became my rock. She listened to me when I talked about my family issues, and never judged me for my decision to distance myself from them. After graduation, Donna and I got married and moved till we built a life together, far from my family and the pain of my past. 2 years ago, we welcomed our daughter, Lily, into the world. Becoming a father made me reflect on my own childhood, and I promised myself that Lily would always feel loved and supported, no matter what path she chose in life. Fast forward to now, I'm a successful pediatrician, Donna is making waves at a prominent law firm, and Lily is a precocious 2-year-old who keeps us on our toes. Life is good, but I still carry the hurt from my family's betrayal. A few weeks ago, I got a call from my mom. It was the first time we had spoken in months, and I could tell something was wrong. She was crying, saying that Bobby's business had failed, and he had moved back in with them. Apparently, he had made some bad decisions, gotten into debt, and was now unemployed. My parents had to remortgage their house to help him out. Now, suddenly, they want to reconnect with me. They've been calling and texting, asking to visit and meet their granddaughter. My dad even sent me an email talking about how proud he is of my success and how he wants to make amends. Part of me wants to give them a chance. After all, they're my parents, and I do miss having a family. I think about Lily and wonder if I'm depriving her of grandparents. But another part of me is angry and hurt. It feels like they only want me in their lives now because Bobby has disappointed them, and they need someone to be proud of. I don't know what to do. Should I give them another chance? Should I keep them at arm's length? Or should I just maintain the distance I've established over the years? Donna thinks I should at least hear them out, but she's also protective of me and doesn't want to see me hurt again. She's offered to be there when I talk to them as a buffer and support system. I'm torn between the desire for family and the need to protect myself from further pain. The thought of letting them back into my life terrifies me. What if they hurt me again? What if they try to use me as a financial safety net now that Bobby has fallen from grace? But then I look at Lily and wonder if I'm letting my past affect her future. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. How do I navigate this situation without becoming a doormat or letting my anger control me? How do I protect my own family while potentially rebuilding relationships with my parents? I feel like I'm standing at a crossroads, and I'm not sure which path to take. You